Yo, what's up everybody? It's your boy, Tech Savvy, back with another video. And today we're talking about something that's super important in the digital age, and that's your privacy. Specifically, we're diving deep into the world of phone spying. Now, I know what you're thinking. Phone spying? That's some serious stuff. And you're right, it is. But the reality is, it's more common than you might think. And it's not just about governments or hackers. It could be anyone from a jealous partner to a nosy coworker. That's why in this video, I'm breaking down the top 10 signs that someone might be secretly spying on your phone. We're talking telltale signs like unusual battery drain, strange app behavior, and even weird noises during calls. So, if you're ready to become a digital detective and make sure your phone is truly yours, then stick around because things are about to get interesting. Let's kick things off with unusual battery drain. We've all been there. You start with a fully charged phone, but by lunchtime it's gasping for power. It's annoying and could be a red flag. It's not always spyware, but worth investigating. Now, I'm not saying that every time your battery drains quickly it's because of spyware. There are plenty of legitimate reasons why your phone might be losing juice faster than usual. Maybe you've been using a power-hungry app a lot lately, or your screen brightness is cranked up. But if you've ruled out all the usual suspects and you're still seeing that battery icon dip into the red way too fast, it's time to consider the possibility of spyware. The good news is, there are ways to check if something fishy is going on. Later in the video, we'll talk about some tools and techniques you can use to identify and remove any unwanted guests from your device. For now, just remember that sudden, unexplained battery drain is definitely something to keep an eye on. It might be nothing, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Okay, so we've talked about battery drain, but another major red flag that someone might be snooping on your phone is a sudden spike in your data usage. And just like with battery life, we all know that data usage can fluctuate depending on how we use our phones. Streaming videos, downloading large files, even just browsing social media, all of these activities eat up data. But if you notice your data usage skyrocketing even though your habits haven't changed, that's a sign something's off. Think about it, spyware needs to send the data it collects from your phone somewhere, right? And that data transmission requires, you guessed it, data. So, if someone is secretly siphoning off your photos, messages, or location, you're going to see it reflected in your data usage. It's like having a secret data hog living rent-free on your phone, gobbling up your precious gigabytes without you even knowing. Not cool. The good news is, keeping track of your data usage is actually pretty easy these days. Most phones have built-in tools that let you monitor your data consumption, showing you exactly which apps are using the most data. So, if you start noticing a suspicious uptick in your data usage, take a look at your data usage breakdown. See any unfamiliar apps using a disproportionate amount of data? That could be a major red flag. Of course, it could be that you have a legitimate app that's suddenly gone data hungry. Maybe there's a software update that's causing it to use more data than usual. But if you see an app you don't recognize or an app that you rarely use sucking up your data, it's time to investigate further. And hey, even if you don't suspect anything shady, it's always a good idea to keep an eye on your data usage. After all, knowledge is power, and in the world of tech, that's definitely true. So you're on a call and everything seems normal, right? But then you start hearing things you shouldn't. Faint echoes of your own voice, weird clicking sounds, or maybe even a distorted voice on the other end. These, my friends, could be red flags. Now, I'm not saying every weird sound means you're being spied on. Sometimes it's just bad reception or a problem with your phone or the network. But if these strange noises happen consistently, especially during sensitive conversations, it's worth digging a bit deeper. Think about it, some spyware apps are sneaky, but they still need to transmit your call data, and that can sometimes cause these audio anomalies. It's like a digital fingerprint, a subtle clue that something fishy might be going on behind the scenes. So trust your ears. If something sounds off, don't just brush it off. It could be nothing, but it could also be a sign that someone is listening in on your private conversations. Another thing to watch out for is interference. You know that annoying crackling or static you sometimes get on calls? Well, excessive interference, especially if it's happening regularly, can also be a sign of spyware. Some spyware apps can interfere with your phone's normal functions, including call quality. They're basically trying to secretly siphon off your data while you're on a call, and this can lead to noticeable disruptions in the audio. Now, I know what you're thinking. My calls are always a mess. But there's a difference between the occasional bad connection and persistent, unexplained interference. So, if you're constantly battling static, echoes, or other weird audio glitches during calls, it might be time to investigate further. Your phone might be trying to tell you something. Okay, we've all been there, right? Your phone freezes, you do a quick restart, and everything's back to normal. But what if your phone starts rebooting randomly, without any warning, like it's stuck in some kind of tech-induced Groundhog Day? That, my friends, is not normal. Frequent unexplained reboots can be a sign of several things, including malware or, you guessed it, spyware. These malicious programs can mess with your phone's software, causing it to crash and restart unexpectedly. Imagine this: you're about to take a picture of something awesome and bam, your phone reboots. Or you're in the middle of an important call and bam, reboot city. Not only is it frustrating, but it could be a sign that something's seriously wrong. So, if your phone's been acting possessed, rebooting more often than usual, don't just ignore it. It's time to put on your detective hats and figure out what's causing those unexpected shutdowns. Now, random reboots aren't the only red flag. Sometimes, instead of a full-on reboot, your phone might just act sluggish, like it's struggling to keep up. Apps might take forever to load, the touchscreen might become unresponsive, and the whole experience just feels off. This kind of slowdown can also be a symptom of spyware. Remember, these sneaky programs are running in the background, eating up your phone's resources and slowing everything down. It's like having a power-hungry app constantly running in the background, draining your phone's battery and performance. Think of it like this: you're trying to run a marathon, but someone secretly attached a parachute to your back. You're putting in the effort, but something is holding you back, making the whole thing much harder than it should be. So, if your phone's performance has taken a nosedive and you're constantly battling lag and slowdowns, it's time to investigate. Spyware could be the culprit, lurking in the shadows and slowing your digital life to a crawl. We all love discovering cool new apps, right? But what about apps that magically appear on your phone, seemingly out of thin air, without you ever hitting that download button? Yeah, that's not cool. Finding unfamiliar apps on your phone is a major red flag, a telltale sign that someone might have installed spyware without your knowledge. These apps can disguise themselves as harmless games or utilities, blending in with your other apps while secretly spying on you. Imagine scrolling through your app drawer and stumbling upon an app with a generic name like System Tools or Battery Saver, but you have no recollection of ever downloading it. That, my friends, should set off alarm bells. These imposter apps are designed to fly under the radar, but their sudden appearance is a dead giveaway. So if you spot any unfamiliar faces in your app lineup, don't just ignore them. It's time to do some digging and figure out what they're really doing on your phone. Now, some spyware apps are even sneakier. They don't even bother with disguises, they just hide in plain sight, invisible to the untrained eye. But don't worry, there are ways to flush them out. Most smartphones allow you to view a list of all installed apps, even the hidden ones. You can usually find this list in your phone's settings menu, under Apps or Application Manager. Go through the list carefully, looking for any suspicious names or apps you don't recognize. Remember, knowledge is power. Familiarize yourself with the legitimate system apps that came pre-installed on your phone. That way you'll be able to quickly spot any suspicious newcomers that don't belong. So don't let those sneaky apps stay hidden in the shadows. Take control of your digital life, explore your phone settings, and make sure you're familiar with every app that has access to your precious data. Remember, when it comes to your privacy, it's better to be safe than sorry. Alright, next up on the list, we've got overheating. Now, a phone getting warm under pressure, that's normal. You're gaming, you're running a bunch of apps, it's hot outside. Yeah, the phone's gonna heat up a bit. That's just physics doing its thing. But if your phone's constantly hot, like you could toast bread on it hot, even when you're not really using it, that's sus. See, spyware, it often works in the background using your phone's resources without you knowing. and that constant strain that can make your phone work overtime, leading to that toasty temperature. So, if your phone's always feeling like a hot potato, might be time to investigate a little further. Now, before you jump to conclusions, overheating on its own, it's not a guaranteed sign of spyware. Like I said, there are other culprits like a bad battery, too many apps running in the background, even environmental factors. The key here is context. If your phone's suddenly overheating and it's coinciding with some of these other red flags we've talked about, like unusual battery drain or data usage, then yeah, it's worth digging a little deeper. Think about it like this. One symptom might be a coincidence, but multiple symptoms, that's a pattern. And when it comes to your tech, patterns are something you definitely want to pay attention to. Moving on to texting troubles, we're talking strange text messages. Now, everyone gets weird texts every now and then, spam, wrong numbers, that one friend who sends you memes at 3 a.m., you know the one. But we're not talking about those kind of strange texts. We're talking about messages that just feel off. Maybe it's gibberish code, maybe it's links you don't recognize, or maybe it's messages from numbers you don't have saved that just feel weird. These could be signs of spyware trying to communicate with its source or even trying to trick you into downloading something malicious. So, yeah, pay attention to those texts, especially if they start getting frequent or if they just give you a bad feeling. Now, the golden rule here is simple. Don't engage, don't click on any links, don't reply, don't even open the message if you don't have to. Just delete it. These messages, they often rely on you being curious, on you engaging with them. So don't give them the satisfaction. Remember, curiosity may not kill the cat, but it could compromise your phone. And if you do accidentally click on something, don't panic. Just close out of everything, run a scan with your antivirus, and change your passwords. The sneaky sign-ins brings us to unusual account activity. This one's a little more subtle, but equally important. We're talking about those you logged in from a new device emails, password reset requests you didn't initiate, things like that. Now these can happen for legitimate reasons. Maybe you forgot you logged in on a friend's device, or maybe your IP address changed. But if you're seeing a pattern of this, especially for accounts you don't use often, that's a red flag. Spyware can sometimes capture your login credentials and use them to access your accounts, often to steal information or impersonate you. So, yeah, don't ignore those emails. They might seem like a minor inconvenience, but they could be a sign of something much bigger. The good news is, there's an easy way to protect yourself from this with two-factor authentication. Seriously, if there's one thing you take away from this video, let it be this. Enable two-factor authentication on everything. With two-factor, even if someone gets hold of your password, they still need a second form of verification, usually a code sent to your phone or email to access your account. It's like a security guard for your digital life. So take a few minutes, go into your account settings, and enable two-factor authentication. Your future self will thank you. Alright, so your phone's been acting a little sluggish lately, like apps take forever to load, scrolling feels janky, and it just can't keep up. Yeah, that's definitely frustrating. Now, while this could just be a sign that you need an upgrade, or maybe you've got one too many apps running in the background, it could also be a sign that someone's snooping on your digital life. Think about it, spyware running in the background is basically another app hogging your phone's resources. It needs processing power, memory, and even battery to do its thing, which can slow everything else down to a crawl. And trust me, you'd notice the difference, especially if you're rocking a relatively new phone that should be running buttery smooth. So, if you're experiencing consistent lag and poor performance, even after restarting your phone or closing unused apps, it's definitely worth considering the possibility of spyware. Now, I'm not saying you should jump to conclusions, but it's one more thing to be aware of in this digital age. Now, I know what you're thinking. My phone's always slow. How do I know if it's spyware or just me? There's a difference between normal slowdown and spyware-induced lag. If you notice a sudden drop in performance after installing a new app, that's a red flag. Keep an eye out for those red flags. Alright, so we've talked about all the signs that someone might be spying on your phone. But don't worry, as we're arming you with the knowledge to fight back. Anti-spyware apps are your best weapon. They detect and remove malicious software, scan for threats and neutralize them. Think of it like having a digital bodyguard. Tons of great options on both Android and iOS. Ready to beef up your phone's security with an anti-spyware app, but not sure where to start? There are a ton of options out there and it can be overwhelming. But don't worry, I've got you covered. Stick to reputable sources like the Google Play Store or Apple's App Store. Look for apps with high ratings and positive reviews. Popular choices include Malwarebytes, Norton, and Avast. Remember, downloading an app isn't a magic bullet. Be smart about your phone usage. And that wraps up our deep dive into the world of phone spying and how to protect yourself. We've covered a lot of ground today, from those subtle signs that something's off to the tools you need to take back control of your privacy. Remember, your phone is like an extension of yourself and it holds a ton of personal information. So it's crucial to be aware of the risks and take the necessary steps to stay safe. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. You might just save someone from a digital headache. Don't forget to subscribe for more tech insights and stay safe out there. Oh, and don't forget to comment and share your experiences with us. Have you ever been hacked and spied on? What did you do to solve it? Until next time, peace out.